Hey guys, today on the podcast, I give my opinion on Mia Khalifa's beef with ISIS. Also, our thoughts on Kathy Griffin and Anderson Cooper. And how would you deal with hate mail? Paul, I need to hear your opinion on this. Look. What happened was...
You know what? I'm offended by this shit.
I gotta go.
You know what? I do gotta go. I gotta go. You know what? I'm out of here.
I got a first class flight to catch. Look.
All that and more coming up on the podcast. Fridays at the Fountain. If you need to unwind after a busy week, Crystal City Bid, they've got you. Try Fridays at the Fountain in Crystal City. It's a weekly pop-up beer and wine garden with great live music in an outdoor beautiful setting. You can get more at crystalcity.org. Also, Pace the Nation. They have an incredible podcast, and there are partners here. We get to use their studio, and we love talking about them. Check out Pace the Nation. It's a really funny podcast and also gets you in the know about running.
Yeah.
All right. Here we go.
What's the phrase that you hear every day? Hey, phrase. What's the phrase that you hear every day? Hey, phrase. What's the phrase that you hear every day? Hey, phrase. What's the phrase that you hear? Tune in, yeah, you gotta tune in. Sarah Fraser on the mic and she about to begin. The co-host with the most, Paul Warren looking fleek. Take it from me, you should be listening. Live from the nation's map, pop culture at its best. No need a second guess, separated from the rest. Entertaining nonetheless, many topics to address. Sarah, she's so glamorous, the number one hostess.
What? Look at that mouth. Oh, my God. Look at that mouth.
Oh, that was wonderful.
Hey, everybody. Hi, Paul Wharton.
Hi, Sarah Fraser.
How's it going, doll? Everything
going
good?
Great.
I
It's
know.
going great.
It is going great. Welcome, you guys, to the Hey Frase podcast with Paul Wharton. We are thrilled to be here this week. So much went down in this past week since we got to see you and talk to you. It's been unbelievable.
God.
Mayweather-McGregor fight. Did you bet any money on that, Paul?
No, but that thing was looking a little close, wasn't it?
I didn't even watch. I went to bed. I know.
You went to bed?
Joe Heller intern is like, oh, how could you go to bed? Honest to God, I did. I went to a fight night party that my friend TK held, and I probably stayed until I watched that first fight with those two guys that I had no idea who they were, and then I just went home and went to bed. How was it?
Well, let me tell you something. My sister Holly, my sister Holly and I are 2 years and 2 days apart. So when we were kids...
Oh, you're like twins almost. Well,
this
sort
is
of.
the thing.
Yeah.
She was born on October 14th. I'm born on October 16th. So when I was a kid, we used to have our birthdays together on October 15th. And we were like twins.
Oh.
Right. Except Holly was the popular one, and I had no friends.
That is so hard. That is shocking for me to believe, isn't it? Because you're so... I don't know. You're the opposite now. You know what I'm saying? I know you now as somebody that's like such a social butterfly. You walk down the street, everybody knows you.
Exactly. Well, that's the interesting thing. So I think because I was a late bloomer, when I went to New York in my 20s to find myself, and then I came back to D.C. to kind of establish myself here, I really didn't spend a lot of time with my sister the way I do now.
Right.
And
right.
It's so crazy. So on Saturday, I was texting with her, and I'm like, what are you doing? She was like, nothing. I was like, come on and meet me. So we met at Union Market over at Rappahannock Oyster Bar. We had the best time. And I just looked at my sister, and I'm like, oh, my God. I have a sister who is 2 years apart from me.
Right.
I love spending time with her. It was like a light bulb moment.
Isn't that awesome? I love being close with my well, I have one sibling, but isn't that great? It's such a great bond, and you are like just best friends, and you have so much history.
And one of the things I asked my sister, I said, who are your friends right now that you really trust? Who is really loyal to you? And it was really, she said, oh, all my girlfriends. And she says, interesting.
Only like one.
Right, because I'm into that. But you don't realize until what you have, right? Until it's right there in front of you, and you say, wow, I have this great loyal friend. So anyway, my sister and I went to my friend Tracy's house, Tracy Kearney. Shout out, girl.
Okay.
She is so much fun, just to have a glass of champagne. And Tracy ordered the fight, and we had so much fun.
Oh, my God, I bet.
But that McGregor was up in that ass. He was up in that ass. I was jumping around like a crazy person.
Well, it was 10 rounds before Mayweather knocked him out, and
but it was a technical knockout. That's the thing. And McGregor said at the end, he's like, let the man put me down.
Oh, right.
He was like, I get a little wobbly. It's fatigue. It's energy.
Okay,
But I
no,
don't
your
know.
brains are already loose. Sorry, folks. Like, I don't want to see the rest of it. Mayweather clearly won. Yeah, I mean, it was a lot of hype, and I don't know. I guess I'm not really into boxing, so I just didn't really care. And I don't know. I'm probably the only person that has any issue with this, but I thought it was, and everyone goes, oh, this is genius. But I thought it was just the marketing of it was so racist, you know, and so like the racial things that McGregor was. I don't know. I just feel like we're so surrounded by that.
You heard the thing he said about the Rocky movie?
I don't know. The comment that really bothered me was they were at like a press conference and he was saying like something like "dance for me, boy" or something. I don't know. I just felt it was so racial and Floyd Mayweather is also had a long history of abusing women. I don't know. I guess we just keep celebrating these people, and maybe I should just get on board.
But you know, the black folks needed to win. I'm sorry. Y'all got Trump. We got Floyd. We
I
mean, they're both pretty bad, but I'm happy you won.
Anyway, yeah, it was. Everybody was talking about it. It was a moment.
50-0. I like a nice even number. So 50-0, and now he's done. So we don't have to, support that.
We hope. Oh, he'll come back
anymore.
and box Justin Bieber or some shit they all do for another $400 million, wouldn't you? That's the only part I agreed with. I was like, yeah, those guys are smart. Like I would do it for that money too. Who cares who wins or loses?
Exactly.
But anyway, we also got a huge honor over the weekend.
Yes.
I want to read this because I thought that I thought this was like so kind and so thoughtful, and I could not believe like they actually listened to the podcast.
Isn't that something? People listen.
People totally listen.
They say things to me at Starbucks.
I know. It's unbelievable how this show is growing. And over the weekend, last Thursday, I wake up and people had tagged us that DCist, which is a big deal. They're associated with Thrillist. They have different sort of like websites in different cities. But here in DC, they named our podcast DC's 11 best podcasts for locals by locals that you should be listening to. And it was like an incredible honor. I mean, thousands of people listen and look at their website. I was like blown away.
That's a great write-up too.
The write-up. So here's the write-up, which I was so honored. Hey Frage is one of the most downloaded local podcasts on iTunes, and it's easy to see why. The gregarious Sarah Fraser and her good friend Paul Wharton record this jovial weekly dispatch, which features a mix of personal stories, pop culture references, humanizing interviews with vilified celebrities, including Omarosa and Miko Grimes, along with more serious discussions of social issues. It's hard to stop listening when they delve into uncomfortable topics such as the term Oreo, conversion therapy, dog breed bans, the opioid crisis, and ... blowjob classes. Look at us! Oh my God! You guys, and Joelle is here, by the way. Joelle, honestly, I think it was your story of basically feeling that you're white inside that got us this, so thank you. You're welcome. But anyway, I wanted to thank you, Paul, because you've done an amazing job, and together this has been an unbelievable honor.
Hasn't it been wonderful?
Yes, I mean, thousands of people are listening. The podcast is growing, and that was just an incredible thing for us.
Awesome.
Yes, absolutely.
And I want to thank our sponsors that have always been here to support us. I mean, really. I mean, you know what I mean? Because we couldn't do it without them.
Thanks for sticking with us through thick and through thin.
I prefer it thick. Let's just keep it moving with that.
Focus on this article, not on your emails.
Well, do you want to talk about that?
Oh, sure. Well, yeah, we might as well. I feel like we don't keep anything a secret.
Okay.
We'll give you the abbreviated version. But this morning, we came in to record the podcast, right? And so we're here at Pacers, and we have this agreement with Pacers. We promote, we talk about them, and they let us use this amazing podcast space. So one of the managers comes in, and he goes, hey, I just got this email. So I'm thinking, oh, this is awesome. Our podcast probably sold some shoes. You know, look at me. I'm
sure.
Bad. And it's this woman going in on me about basically how I call myself a, quote, journalist at best, but I'm really, what was the word? I gotta even go back. It was like,
so you're aggressive.
Toxic, aggressive. Have you seen the party that she tried to throw at Trump hotel last year at the election and raise money, and you shouldn't be associated with her and all this stuff? And she's sending this to our sponsors.
That's
which
so
is
crazy.
like
I think it's another podcast. I mean, who does this? Who has time to do that?
Well, that's what's fascinating to me. It's obviously like you were saying, you're like, okay, what's got up this woman? Like something happened. Although I do think that this is just the fallout of, the more you grow, people hate that. They really do. I don't know why. I really don't, because it's like, anybody you have a conversation with, for the most part, people you surround yourself with, people I surround myself with, they always root for other people. So I'm like, is it just the toxic internet or what?
Yeah.
But this woman, and we debated, we tried to call her earlier, see if she'd be on the show. She left her phone number and everything at the end of the email. But I'm like, wouldn't you write that to me? Why are you writing it to sponsors?
I mean, really, that's so malicious.
She says, I find Sarah Fraser to be distasteful, disrespectful, divisive, uninformed, and unprofessional. Is this the kind of personality you want representing your group? Yeah, and then she goes on to talk about, have you watched her podcast? How about that GoFundMe she started where she tried to rent a suite at Trump Tower? Yeah, well, bitch, we raised a lot of money for that, and everybody else wanted to be a part of it. So maybe you should have come out. You wouldn't be so angry.
Oh, my God. Maybe we should get her on 3-day rule.
Yes, that woman needs to get laid. I mean, what?
Gosh.
You take the time to write that, but I feel like, again, look at Joel. I feel like this. I read that, and I thought I could always be Joel Osteen.
Yes.
Which, no one's more hated than that man.
Exactly.
So there's
we still come out on top.
Exactly.
Right, exactly.
I mean, that was all of our excitement.
Exactly.
But you guys have got us here, so thank you for supporting this show, and that's really why we're on DCist. And that's a huge honor. So
Absolutely.
Yeah, and this woman that wrote to us, why don't you go eat rocks and read that article?
Exactly.
Everyone else likes us.
She read the article.
Yeah, she did, and then she was like,
How many weeks has it been since Trump was elected? That's when
almost
that election
a year.
party was.
So
Okay.
that happened like a year ago. So you're now
she
writing
writes
people.
This thing.
That really bothered you, and it was like tongue in cheek. Everybody had a great time.
Child cheese. That's what I say
Anyhow.
when I don't want to be bothered. Child cheese.
You guys, look, this podcast is all anything goes. It's a free-for-all with Paul Wharton. We talk pop culture, we talk news, we talk our personal lives. And we have AJ, who does our pop culture and news. AJ is amazing. She's what, 23 years old? How old are you?
23. Just 23.
You were so great. You came to our happy hour last week at Whitlow's on Wilson. You and your boyfriend were like converting new people.
I was living.
And I was trying to convert your boyfriend. I offered to be a sugar daddy. I mean, God, the guy
He is
looks like
super
he,
cute. Isn't he
you know,
cute?
he
I
needed
took
the
that as
sugar
such
daddy
a
in his
compliment
life.
because I'm
You
so
really
hard
did.
on him. And I'm always like,
He's going to leave you. I mean, he is. Like, men do. They only take so much. Believe me, I know. Mine's like threatening to leave me all the time. I'm like, yeah, I know.
I put him down all the time. Like, no, don't wear that.
Are you
That's
that
not
girlfriend?
cute. I am. I don't even know why. I mean, he moved to DC so we could be together because the long distance thing was too hard. Now he's here. And so anyways, whenever anybody says like, oh, he's hot, especially if it's gay, if he gets gay looks, if he gets straight looks, I'm like, oh, okay. It's a compliment to me, I think.
He was showing up. What didn't you didn't like the way he tucked in his pants or something?
Okay, so he had a big ass polo, and his big thing is like, no, Andre, I have to tuck my shirt in because it looks messy if it's out. I'm like, no, it looks like.
But he was
bunched
showing off
up.
that waist. I don't know. I didn't see what you're talking about. I just saw.
You know when it's a big,
Right.
I'm asking Sarah now. You know when it's like a big fluffy polo and it's too big for him and he has to tuck it in. But I'm like, now you just look like you have a bulge in your pants and your waist is tight. And I'm just
Okay.
like,
All that sounds great.
How much longer do we give these two? It's just like,
Where can we follow him on social media?
yeah, he's cute.
that's another thing. No social media.
He doesn't do social media?
He has a Facebook, but never goes on it. All he does is look up memes on Instagram, and that's it.
Okay.
What does he do all day with his life? Like, I know he works, then what?
So
Is
he
he
just got a
boring?
job yesterday. We're so happy for him. Thank God.
Yes.
He was working as a bar back, bartender, bouncer kind of thing when he moved here, and so now he's finally doing IT at the Pentagon.
Nice.
Yay, that's like a great gig.
Yeah, so now maybe he can take me out once or twice a month.
That sounds awesome. Okay. All right. So it's
Paul,
deeper than the surface.
You actually have a really good shot.
I
like,
do.
You can take this guy out.
I
Listen.
said, Iggy, you know what? Take Paul's deal, and then whatever goods you get, you can bring it back to me. Bring it
Exactly.
home to Mama.
Bring it
so
all
play
home.
both sides.
Oh my
So when the
God.
3-day rule came in, I was like, you know what? Do you guys have any matchmakers for me? I am half single. I'm like,
No, that's crazy.
Oh my God, poor
shade
Iggy.
being thrown. Anyways, guys, how's your week going? It's been a busy week.
Oh my God, it
Great.
has. It's been a crazy week. I
It's been
feel
a
like
crazy week.
it's like always full circle, right? I mean, from everything. It's such a roller coaster.
Well, first of all, I'm on a juice cleanse. Did I tell you all this?
no, what's
This
prompted
is my
this?
third day. Well,
You look
okay,
so
I'll be
good.
honest with these people. I was going to have a little touch-up lipo, like, I mean, I'm going to be honest.
Real quick.
Which
just
is
a little
nowhere
something.
to
I told
stop.
you this, right?
Yes, but you're like.
But so I decided instead of doing that, so I don't have to recuperate for 3 months, that I'm doing my 3-day juice cleanse, and then I'm back in the gym, and I've got a new trainer, and I've got a new, life coach, and all that. So I'm trying to work it off naturally.
Do you feel
Meditate.
dizzy when you do only juice all day? Because I did like
No,
liquid
because I'm
diet.
doing a lot of different,
Okay,
vegetables and
Good.
fruit and
Do you have
all
a
sorts
juice
of things.
machine where you juice it
I
yourself?
have like the whole
The
thing.
whole 9 yards.
The whole thing.
I want to see his kitchen setup.
my
No.
God.
You get like 15 fruits, and then it amounts to
Like, yeah, I
literally
know.
an ounce of juice.
Which is why when you
It's
go
very
buy them, they're like
expensive.
$15. You're like, for this damn juice thing?
Yeah, I
Yeah.
make some and I buy some, then I make some smoothies, and then I do, you know.
Okay,
So
okay,
I'm
okay.
working
It
it out.
evens
It's
out.
all liquid, but it's going to be great.
You are
I
like-
feel fantastic. I have so much energy.
Oh my God.
You're the new Jack LaLanne. I love it. Yes.
Oh, Richard Simmons. I could probably pick
You
up
could-
where he left off.
You could
Give me a little exercise studio with some leg warmers.
Yes.
I would run the shit out of that.
Hell yeah.
I want to do just a pilot episode of
I
that.
already want to be the Black Liberace.
Well, you are on your way.
Okay.
People love you, so you can make all that happen.
We want to start off with
Okay, what's up?
with news and pop culture.
Yes.
Not to change, but I know we got a lot of stuff.
Yeah.
First and foremost, we want to say just safety to everybody with Harvey. I know it's been this is the wake of
Yeah.
Harvey. It's a terrible. It's just been a huge deal, and I know it's been touched with every single news. There's just so much behind it,
Yeah.
but we want to make sure. I've seen a lot of scams out there. You don't want to donate. Make sure you don't donate to fake.
How do you tell
Corporations.
these fake scams for Houston? How do you know? Or
It's usually the ones that'll have it's like online how to donate. So you just want to stick with the big corporations like Red Cross. That is a reputable source. All
Yeah.
the news stations, those are reputable. You just want to be careful of those. It's literally like an ad on your computer, and it'll
Okay.
just be coming up, and you can call numbers. You can put it on the phone. Never do it over the phone like that. That's
When you get the text that comes to your phone, you don't know who it's coming from. Is
I
that
wouldn't
real?
trust that. I wouldn't.
I
Personally, wouldn't trust that.
I get all those too.
Yeah.
I get all those too. I get the phone calls too. You know, your mom's about to go to jail. You got to donate to Houston right now, and
Okay.
like all that stuff.
Oh my god.
Yeah.
I don't know. It just
Yeah.
seems like
I'm on their list.
Yeah.
there's a special place in hell for people that are taking that
Yes.
out of that, and you just
Yeah.
it's a crazy thing.
Karma
We
will
just
get
wanted
you.
You know,
to-
everyone
karma will get
definitely
you.
do what you can. The interesting thing about this crisis and this catastrophe is it's made me want to engage more with the people that need my help right here in our town.
Oh yeah. No, I think that's really
You know,
good.
'cause
Yeah,
I think
yeah,
I've
yeah.
shared that before, how I felt a bit more balanced before when I was really engaged in the community and helping. So this has made me actually reach back out and kind of get back in.
And the only positive that comes out of situations like this, and I will say this a million times, but at the end of the day, there's nobody more generous than Americans. Americans always come out for each other.
Oh, absolutely.
And I truly believe if you want your life to change in this country, somebody here will always help you, no matter what. That is the spirit of this country. And I feel like when we argue about politics and things, it's... No offense, but I feel like it's first world problems. You know what I'm saying? Like, you
very
know,
true.
you have a flood like that. Nobody cares about Trump or, you know, Melania's heels or whatever.
And then a whole other
Well,
controversy when
until we
Melania
all-
shows up in heels and there's a huge flood.
That was a poor
Until we all
clothing
go
choice.
up in smoke, but yeah.
Oh yeah, well when North Korea does
Right,
blow us
exactly.
away,
I'm like, okay.
it'd be too late anyway. Yeah.
Right. No, but we have seen the face of America. There's people helping out, no matter what color they are. They're coming out and
Yeah.
they're helping each other, and it's a beautiful
Yes,
image.
it's
And-
awesome. It's what this country's about.
So
and
God bless
touched,
them.
God bless them.
Yes.
Did want to touch Joel Osteen. We already mentioned it. This huge, famous
Mega church
mega
pastor.
church pastor, exactly. Not opening his doors. It's been a lot of different things all over Twitter. I don't know. I think his doors were open, and it says he had his own website tweeted out. We're going to open up our doors once all of the shelters reach
Are full,
capacity, are
right.
full, right? But then he came out himself and he was like, you know what? We never close doors. And they showed there's so many different pictures of his church being flooded versus churches not being flooded.
Want me to play the news clip? He was
wanna
on
hear the news clip.
CBS this morning with Gayle King, and he answers the controversy. So here's Joel Osteen. Take a
It
listen to
appeared
this.
that the doors were not open to anyone. How do you explain the discrepancies?
Well, you know, Gales, our doors have always been open. We received people even as soon as the water started receding, but we worked
Did you,
with the
Joel?
city constantly. The city set up a shelter about 4 miles from here that can house 10,000 people, showers, dormitories, kitchens, security, all that. They didn't need us as a shelter at that point. They wanted us to be a distribution center, things like that. So we said, fine, you do that, we'll do our part, never dreaming that we would have so many people needing shelters. When they filled up, they said we need shelters, we started our shelter. But you know, this notion that we would turn people away or that we're not here for the city, we've been here for 60 years doing this. Tropical Storm
Joel, I don't
Allison.
think
Anyway, he goes on to say, bullshit, Joel. You didn't want the mud on the carpets. We know you. No, I'm just kidding.
Slash his $10
Did she
million.
challenge him? I mean,
His $10
Yeah.
million. He also owns a $10 million
kidding.
estate. Like open
Yes.
up your own mansion doors and have people in your house.
well,
I honestly didn't realize people hated him so much. I kind of like him on Saturday mornings. You turn him on.
Yeah.
I don't know.
think people
thought-
hated him until now because
Oh, I
I
don't
just think
know.
he makes so much money off of this. It's not even propaganda. It's just, I have many
Well, I
different.
think people have a very hard time accepting, and I would love to know your thoughts on this, but I think in life, people have a hard time accepting now these pastors of mega churches that fly on private jets. There was just a guy called out like a year ago, he and his wife, and he had some bullshit excuse about how he has to get to people to preach the word of the Lord faster.
Yeah,
and
that was Creflo Dollar.
Right.
Yeah.
And it's like, I think people are beginning to go, religion is more politics and money than it is about having spirituality. And I think that's what people have a major issue with.
But one thing I will say about Joel Osteen and his mega church is that church, what does it say? It seats 50,000 or...
something like that.
50,000 or 100. It was something huge. But, I mean, I do think that there is some kind of preparation that has to go into receiving people. Just to give the guy the benefit of the doubt. Like, I don't think you can just open the doors and then it's just like, come on in. I'm not sure. I mean, I'm sure that they need food. They need some place for those people to lay down. They need blankets. They need things, right?
Right. I think you're correct. It does take preparation. I think
security. Yeah,
right.
I mean,
that too.
Just to protect them from each other. But, so there's certain things in it. But then again, if you have 8 feet of water, just open them up. I mean, you know what I mean? Just open the door and let me in, and we'll figure all that other stuff out later. So there's that side too.
I know. We could talk about.
Yeah.
I mean,
talk about it for the whole. Yeah, it would take the whole thing.
I mean, I have conflicted feelings about it. I just don't know. I don't understand. But yet Joel is a super motivational person. So he's more than just a pastor. To people that aren't religious,
right.
He spreads a good message. Mm-hmm. So should you live middle class because you've made all this money, or is the guy really good? I don't know.
Two sides to everything.
Yeah.
All right, I'm moving us along. I'm taking us back 3 months ago.
Okay.
When Kathy Griffin posted the beheaded Trump in Twitter.
Yes.
Created this huge controversy. It got her fired from certain gigs. It was a big thing. Of course, she's going to bounce back. What is she, D-list?
My Life on the D-List. I used to love that show.
My Life on the D-List, living right next door to Kim and Kanye. She's doing all right.
Well,
right in Calabasas.
She was Life on the D-List. I was obsessed with that show because she really was D-List. She hadn't really made it to like mainstream. She was with that husband that ended up like stealing $70,000 from her in the middle of the night.
Yeah.
Her parents were funny. So I thought she started out great, but
yeah. And it's been she's been friends forever with Anderson Cooper. And this new thing came out that they're long, what is it, like a 2-decade long? I don't know.
Yeah, like 20 years. Yeah.
So long. Their friendship is now over. She's had been uninvited for coming back.
CNN dropped her.
CNN dropped her. And her thing with Anderson Cooper for 10 years discussing, he was just pissed off. And I wanted to hear your guys' thoughts on this because, would you drop her because of this?
Yeah, I wanted to hear like if you've ever had a friendship, because I kind of feel like I'm going through this and I'm not really sure.
Okay.
This is a friend that I would say things have been funny for the past like year, and we've had email exchanges and come to Jesus moments and heart to heart, but yet it just doesn't seem like it's there. So I was just kind of wondering if you've ever had.
I go through this all the time.
With all your friends?
No, not with all of them, but I really do feel that all friendships aren't meant to be in forever. I really do. And I think that when it's a struggle like that and you talk and you communicate and you try to work things out, well, sometimes just because, you hear people say, oh, I've known you for 10 years. No, you met me 10 years ago. You have not known me for 10 years. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah. Okay.
Like I met you 10 years ago. But, in terms of friends, no, my mom always asks, how's John? Or someone like that, whatever. I'm making that up. How's John? I don't know.
I haven't spoken to him in 4 years.
What happened with John? Girl, don't you worry your pretty little head about it. Like, I have moved on. Like, God bless him. So some people, I'm okay with moving on from. And I don't need to tell them to go F themselves.
But she basically said that he was really, he was getting a ton of heat from the network and from people to, basically say, hey, look, what she did was awful. And she said she's fine with that. She understood that he had to do that, but he never really gave her the heads up. So do you think he owed that heads up to her, or do you think she shouldn't have made it a big deal?
Well, the interesting thing about Anderson is most people, of course, know him to be what? A Democrat, right?
Yeah, definitely.
Right? Even though he doesn't speak a lot about that on CNN. But
and he's super rich Vanderbilt, but yeah.
Right. So, do you remember when Andy Cohen and Anderson had their AC360 show?
Yeah.
No, not AC360. When they had their, what is it called? The Andy Cohen and Anderson, when they do their traveling show?
Yeah,
and they're on
I do.
stage.
Okay.
So I went with all the Housewives of Potomac.
Yes.
To the show. So Anderson and Andy, we were backstage before the show, and we did some tequila shots, and Anderson actually partook in the shots as well. But he had a special guest there with him, a good friend. Do you know who it was?
Who?
That guy, Jason Miller, who is a CNN contributor. He's a big Republican. He's a total Trump supporter.
Interesting.
He is one of these people that it doesn't matter what Trump does. Trump is always right. Everyone else is wrong. Fake news, blah, 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 blah. So listen. So there was a story that broke not too long ago because on the campaign trail, he had an affair on his wife with a Trump transition advisor, AJ Delgado. She had a baby from the affair.
Ooh.
Do you remember this?
Oh my God! Now I do remember this. Yeah, now I know where you're going. Yeah.
So
yeah,
that guy and his wife, who he cheated on, were there at the show. So I thought that was really interesting because this guy is one of these total Trump supporters.
Yeah.
And yet he was Anderson's special friend, special guest at the show. And I saw him in the backstage.
Yeah. So it's like if those two have a friendship and can work through things. It's
Hello.
Like, why can't he and Kathy?
Breaking news on the Hey Praise the Paul Word podcast. Something fishy.
You think something else went on there?
Something fishy.
Interesting.
She's been hosting it for 10 years.
Yeah.
The CNN's New York Eve's broadcast. And I just feel like after 10 years, why would New Year's Eve, did I say that right? Yeah. The CNN New Year's Eve. And I just think after 10 years, I wouldn't get past all your minor bullshit and then come on and be professional, or maybe this is too much.
And didn't Anderson say that he thought it was so disgusting? Now, listen.
I mean, I thought it was kind of bad. I did. And here's my thing. I'm on the Tina Fey train right now, and she's going to be the next super polarizing person that may lose her career. But Tina Fey has basically come out and said, look, I do comedy, and comedy is meant to make people uncomfortable. It's meant to bring up things, whether it's race or sexuality or whatever, that is awkward. That's what the stage and comedy is for. And if you get offended by that, or if you have trauma from that, you shouldn't be involved or coming to comedic shows. And she said, I'm not going to comment on I'm not going to explain my jokes. And I actually think now in this day and age, the minute you apologize, unless you've done something truly, truly damaging, right? It just becomes the kiss of death.
Didn't Trump say that the Second Amendment people could take care of Hillary during one of his campaign rallies? He's not a comedian. How come that's a joke? And what she's doing is...
That requires an apology. But what I'm saying is, Kathy Griffin...
he never apologized.
Right, and he's never going to apologize. But I'm saying that Kathy Griffin is a comedian. The minute she started apologizing, and now she comes out and says, I don't know if you saw this article, she's like, I'm taking back my apology. It's now it's just desperate.
Can't do it.
It's so desperate. It's like, be Tina Fey. Just,
own up.
Die on the sword. Or, she takes the sword out and stabs herself again. It's like, no one wants to follow you. It's like, nobody wants wishy-washy anymore. We've been there. We've done that with all these celebrities that half-heartedly apologize, like Chris Brown. And then they go back and they do all this crazy
Absolutely.
crap. There's my rant. Anyway.
So,
there's my rant.
What do you think he should have done? He should have gone to her, because I go to people once. I go to my friends.
That's the only chance you get.
That's it. To work out that issue. Maybe twice, if I really like them. But he should have at least gone to her. What are we on? 6?
Yeah, right. Okay, how many? Why don't we not put any number?
Let's just not put a number on it. No, but I guess you should have picked up the phone and called her. And
I think you're right. And you know what? Hey, look, I do this to you. I've done this to other people in my life. I think lots of times you don't think, you don't think about it. And I think you think, oh, fine, I'll make a statement and then we'll figure it out later. When she's probably right. He did owe her a phone call. Look, I'm getting a ton of heat. I have to come out and say this. I love you, but it kind of was distasteful, and I support you, but
then again, who can you trust? Could he have trusted her for him to share that and for her not to say, Anderson called and said he had to do this?
Yeah.
You know?
And you're right. There probably was something more there.
Yeah.
But
maybe with CNN.
Yeah, that's
he released a statement. Yeah, we're still friends. And look, I said what I said about her in the tweet, saying that was disgusting with the head. He goes on to say, I didn't think what she said was appropriate, but I wish her the best and hope she bounces back. So
I wish her the best. That's a little cold.
After 20 years of friendship, you're like, it's not yeah. Anyway, let them figure their.
Right.
See what happens. But sorry, Kathy.
Yeah, sorry, Kathy. Good luck. I feel like her career is headed back to the D list, unfortunately.
She's fine.
Yeah, you're right. She is. You're right, because she is living next to Kim and Kanye, so she's good.
So fine.
She's doing fine. And then my last thing is, I don't know if DC has something to worry about, but there's a march that's occurring right now. It left from Charlottesville on Monday. It's a 10-day march. It's going to end here in D.C. September 6th. They're going to plan to occupy D.C. and go through with nonviolent demonstrations.
Who's marching?
It's called, let me read you
Is
this.
it that Antifa? Is that how you say it? I'm probably saying it wrong.
Oh, I just
don't
had it
even
up,
know.
but it's...
I don't even follow it anymore. I'm like, okay.
It's called the March to Confront White Supremacy, and they're basically coming to D.C. to demand that Trump leave office. It's just a little, they say it's going to be nonviolent, but whenever we see the Charlottesville, it starts with nonviolent and then ends in tragedy because people can't control themselves, and there's two sides to everything. And
Well, these people look like they're marching in unity.
yeah, this picture comes from it. It was on the article, but I'm a little nervous that sometimes they just take photos and they're like, oh, this looks peaceful.
Yeah.
And then they
Good for them. 17 miles they're going to walk every day. God bless you. I'd get
God
a
bless
I
bike.
should do that. I wouldn't need lipo then.
Hey, we can take it. Where are they now? We'll
Can
drop
they
him
drop
off.
me off?
Yeah, by the time he'll come back.
So let's see. Now that it's 10 days, you only have 8 days left. I think you could.
Oh my God, I'd burn a bunch of calories.
They've
We'll get
raised
you going. We'll get you
$40,000, and this is to cover food costs. And they have 60 confirmed people that are already walking, but people are joining in along the way.
That's
they put their path.
amazing.
I know, and it's all of this huge demonstration. Of course, they're staying in I think hotels though each night.
Okay.
I don't think they're actually going to just like
Right.
put out their tents and hang
Right.
out in the streets. But
No, I mean, I respect them for what they're doing, and of course I want them to,
Yeah.
keep it on the up and up and not be violent.
they're saying this is the time to confront white supremacy in our government. Throughout our history, we demand that President Trump to be removed from office. And the ideology of hate. We demand an agenda that repairs the damage it's done to our country and its people. So we'll have to see. September 6th, follow up with us
That's
next
an interesting-
week when it's going to be big. Yeah, I think.
Good for them.
Very interesting. Yeah.
I think it's awesome when people put aside, because you have a life, you've got work, you got kids, you got commitments, and
Right.
when you make that sacrifice to go out there and protest, good for you. You're
Absolutely.
exercising a good right.
Absolutely.
If I could afford to take off 3 weeks plus from my job to afford my lifestyle, for sure.
You could show up on the 6th, though.
I can hit up the people on the
on the
6th.
right
I
side
was
of
here the whole
history.
time. I was here the whole time, friends.
Yeah, you were.
I love it.
Traveled. Anyways, thanks, guys. Love you
Enjoyed
much.
it.
Where can people follow
Love
you?
much.
That was great.
The Andrea J. Lopez on Instagram. If you want some fun snaps, Snapchat as well. The Andrea J. Lopez.
By the way, you were a lot of fun at that happy hour. I know we talked about it, but
Can I
talked
just
about
say
your
that I
man,
stayed
Lucy.
way
You
later?
Were a lot of fun.
I stayed between. I know you had to work the next day, Paul,
Yeah.
and he was like, "I gotta be out. I gotta be out, y'all. I gotta work. You know how it is. You know how I gotta work." I was like, "Well, I don't."
The impressions. Oh my God.
And I was like, I don't. So I got way too a little bit drunk. And then Iggy was like, my boyfriend's name is Iggy, and he had to take me home. And I mean, I was fine. We took the metro, but like, I don't really remember the metro ride, which
Oh
is
my
good for
gosh.
me anyways, because I don't.
It's a shitty ride, yeah.
I took the metro
ride.
here today.
when Paul texted us, I was like,
think you were
"You're
kidding.
lying."
Yeah,
No,
you're
I
lying.
took the metro because where I live, I have to park like 3 blocks from my house.
Right.
Because I live in a very old building. There's no parking underground.
And rats fall in your cars and stuff,
I
right?
know. So you know what I decided to do when I walked out? It was so beautiful. I just started walking to the metro.
He was like, "Look at me! Look at me doing peasant things, walking to the metro."
Oh, please. No, I love it. I was talking to people. Hey, girl, how you doing? Yeah. Mm-hmm. Oh, yeah. It's me. Mm-hmm. I was doing that. It was fun.
Oh my God, AJ.
Love you guys. But if
All
you ever
right.
want to do another happy hour, put it
We do.
on my calendar.
As soon as my juice cleanse is over,
We're
I'm
all
hollering
boozing
at
again.
you.
We're boozing.
All right,
Yeah.
perfect.
All right, thanks, guys.
You guys are going to want to stick around because at the end of this podcast, we have on a special guest. This Alicia Kenilworth is a friend of mine, and I've known her forever. She actually was an intern at Hot 99.5 at the radio station where I was for many years. And now she's a matchmaker, a professional matchmaker in D.C. So 3 Day Rule is here, and we're just busting their ass about, like, is D.C. the worst dating city or not? And we may get our intern, Joelle, who's never dated, she's black, never dated a black man. We may
Yeah.
set her up.
Yeah, I think that needs to happen.
Oh my God, I do too. Paul, you had a great pod. We need to give a shout out to our sponsor, Mervis, and you wrote an awesome blog that people need to check out.
Oh, yes, I certainly did, Sarah Fraser.
Good.
Everybody, it seems like everybody right now is getting engaged. Do you
Yeah.
find that? Do you have a lot of friends getting engaged? I don't hear you talking about going to weddings that much.
No, because see, I'm 35 now, and most of them have been divorced.
Okay.
Half are divorced.
Yeah.
They're looking for man number 2.
Okay.
And then the other half, some of them are married, and then a lot of them are like us. I don't know. What do you call me? I'm not really in a hurry to get married.
Yeah. Have you been
know.
engaged?
No, close. I did.
Okay.
I had a guy ask me, and I couldn't say yes.
Did he give you a ring?
Yeah, and he asked me like 3 times, and I just couldn't get the words out. It was really.
You gave the
really
ring
awkward.
back?
Yes.
Okay.
And we actually went to. You haven't heard this story?
No.
Oh yeah. So
Oh,
I was
my
with
gosh.
this guy for almost 5 years, and we were having issues, and my mom called me and she goes, I think he's going to ask you to marry him this weekend. And I went into complete, I was physically sick. I was like, oh my God, I can't say yes. He was older too. He's 14 years older. He was divorced. He had 2 kids. Really, really nice guy. But I have the 10-year rule, 10 years older, 5 years younger.
Okay.
Because older men at some point do not want to do things that young women, they just don't. They can't. They don't. Old men love to golf. They love to fish. They like to jerk off. They don't want to do stuff with us, okay?
Mm-hmm.
So anyway, I was like, oh my God, what am I going to do? So he comes down to D.C. and he says, I'm going to, and I said when he walked in the door, I was like, I think you're going to ask me to marry me this weekend. I can't, I don't want to do this. We really need to figure this stuff out. He was like, no, don't worry about it. He's like, we always said if our relationship ended, we'd go have a nice dinner. So I have reservations at the Ritz.
Sure.
So we'll go to the Ritz and we'll have our dinner and we'll figure it out. So he forgets to tell the Ritz that we're no longer engaged. So we are sitting at the chef's table with all this spotlight on us and 5 champagne buckets because it's a 7-course meal where we're supposed to be getting all this wine. Meanwhile, I've been crying hysterically all day long. We show up. He never tells them. So they start seating us, start bringing us all these meals. I can't stop crying. At some point, they realize there's no engagement. They kill the lights, start taking away the champagne buckets, and we leave there, and he proceeded to ask me to marry him 2 more times. I was like, I can't, no.
Oh my God.
Yeah.
You did not want to be with that man.
No, I didn't. Ed was a really nice guy. He was a lot of fun, but it just would not have been a good marriage. And
That's so crazy.
But he had a big. It was actually his grandmother's ring, which I didn't really want, but it was 3 carats, and it
Okay.
was this
Ooh, nice.
pearl. Yeah, it was gorgeous, but it was like a giant cocktail ring.
Wow.
And he whipped that thing out a couple of times and was like, "Will you marry me? Wow. Will you marry me now? Would you think about marrying me?"
Wow, that man really wanted to be with you. Wow, that's so deep.
It was really tough. It was very emotional. I mean, I joke about it now, but he went on to remarry a really nice woman. And
I was gonna say, can we do an Oprah? Where are they now?
yeah,
So
we
where
should
is
have
he
him on.
still?
Oh my God, he is so much fun. He would drink and party. He was really great.
Yeah. So now he's married.
But yeah, and I think he had 2 kids. I'm not sure if he was wild about having another kid, but I think he would have. But I feel like I would have been doing it all.
Yeah.
I think he was a person, and he makes great money and did then. But I think he would throw money at a problem, but he wouldn't really be involved in the problem. You know
Sure,
what I'm saying?
sure.
And I think that's fine when you're older, but I think when you're younger, you want to have a life with someone
Absolutely.
that's like, hey,
There with you, putting in the time, committed.
So the
that's my
blog
story.
post was basically about truly unforgettable ways to pop the big question.
Well, that was one.
Right? Exactly. Don't tell the people that it's not going down, right?
Yeah.
So one of my besties, Erica Gutierrez, who I love, she actually, it's so weird, she was married. The last serious relationship I had was I took him to her last wedding, her first wedding.
Oh, yeah?
They're divorced, and now she's engaged to someone else that's her one true love now. She's
that's
engaged to
great.
Kevin. Yeah, so anyway, so everybody's getting engaged, and I should be on husband number 3, and I'm way behind, so I've got to go soon. But anyway, so I talk about different ways to get engaged, trivia marriage proposals, scavenger hunts, how to make a day of it, and all this. And I called our friend Jonathan Mervis of Mervis Diamond Importers because, people go to him all the time about how to get engaged, and I wanted to know if he had anything to say about that. And he said, Paul, I've heard so many incredible stories over the years. It's hard to pick favorites. I think the first step is find something meaningful that the 2 of you really like, whether it's a place or an activity or something you've always joked about. And then let your dreams go wild from there. Use that as your starting point and just go all out. That's what he
Ooh,
says.
Dan and I like Game of Thrones. That'd be awesome. I think we should recreate that incest scene. That would be amazing. How do you think?
I don't know how I feel about that. But people can check that out at paulwhartonstyle.com.
Maybe that woman that wrote in was actually
Right.
correct.
Or maybe she is right. This is awkward.
I feel like my mind really does go to the gutter. You know what? You had a good point when you wrote that email, actually.
Exactly.
Anyway, Paul Wharton Style. It's paulwhartonstyle.com,
It's
right?
paulwhartonstyle.com, and you can check out
Mervis is
all of those
amazing.
fabulous rings at Mervis.
Get your engagement
Diamond.com.
ring there and email us because we'll set you up directly with Jonathan. You can email Paul Wharton style at yahoo.com or Sarah at heyfrage.com.
And we're having a big party on September 28th.
Yeah, and more to
Mervis on K
come
Street. Yeah.
on that. We can't
Yeah.
wait to tell you. A couple more stories here before we get our 3-date rule people on. Paul, you were right last week. We talked about the Catholic priest priest who was a KKK member who wrote this really lovely letter,
Hate to
and
be
he
right
was
about these
resigning.
things.
Well, yeah, there was
ahead.
actually a woman in his parish in Arlington, Virginia, who was a journalist who began to start outing him, and she was the one that essentially said, hey, she called the parish office and she said, could you bring up those records of Father William Atchison about when he was involved in the KKK? I want to do some research. And they were like, are you a journalist? And she was like, I am, but I'm also a member here at the church. Anyway, and then 2 days later, he writes this thing. So they knew it was coming, and she essentially says he was a teacher. I know. She says when she was in middle school in the early 2000s, he taught a Civil War history class for the home school group at my church in Shenandoah County in Woodstock, Virginia. He was also a former KKK member. And she says that he never paid the fine that he was supposed to pay. Before that, he was charged with 6 cross burnings in Maryland and sending a threatening letter to Coretta Scott King. He had also been charged with making pipe bombs and was found with various weapons.
Oh, wait a minute now.
Yeah,
He
that
was doing
was-
a little bit more than I thought he was doing. Okay.
That was like 20 years ago. She says, I remember him as an opposing figure who took his history lesson to homeschoolers very seriously. He had a reputation for being a bit gruff, but he was never unkind to me. And he knew so much about history. I trusted him when he taught us that the Civil War was fought for states' rights, not slavery. That the South's cause was noble and just. So that's how she says he remembered that. And that was in 2000. So
Okay.
I didn't learn it that way, but...
So it was a
But
matter
maybe-
of moments before all that was coming out, huh?
Yeah, so
Okay.
she was the one that was putting the pieces together, and now he is no longer a part of the church. So you were absolutely right on that one.
Yeah.
Mia Khalifa, we've talked about her in the past on this podcast. She's a porn star, and she's also very controversial. She's Lebanese American, and she sparks a lot of outrage in the Arab world because sometimes in her porns in the past, she's worn the hijab.
Okay.
Maybe not the best move. I don't know how you guys feel about this one. Anyway, Khalifa now says that she is receiving threats from ISIS members who have posted photos of her bloodied and beheaded on social media outlets. Would that get you to stop?
Yeah.
That would.
Yeah.
That would be it.
Oh, yeah.
Joelle is our intern. Joelle, hey, your microphone's actually on. Hey, so you actually know Mia, right?
I have friends that know her, and we've met once, so we're not.
Oh, well, that's fine. You're best friends as far as we're concerned. You guys are tight. Yeah. Well, are you gonna reach out? We need to get
I'm
her on
gonna
the
try.
podcast.
I'm gonna see if my friend will set me up with her and see if we can have her on the show.
Okay, don't stop. This is your first lesson.
Think.
Oh, you think it would
We
be
don't want
bad if we
ISIS coming in
promoted
here,
her on-
though.
Yeah.
Oh,
I
maybe
think I'm good.
Oh, you're not gonna be here.
But definitely send her my best. And,
I didn't even think about that part.
yeah.
Oh, I thought, hey, you know what? We should really have her on and talk about how she's taking this.
Why don't you do that on your Mindful Monday show?
On a different show? Okay. Maybe we will. Anyway, more to that. Martha Stewart. Are you a big fan of Martha Stewart? Paul, were you ever a big Martha fan?
I'm a huge Martha Stewart fan.
Oh, you are? She's got a really good article out with thecut.com, and she talks about how she did it, and she gives all of her advice.
How she made her brand?
How she made her brand, but also like what she does in her day-to-day routine. She says she gets up every morning at 6 a.m., she takes a shower, she washes her hair or whatever else she has to do, then she's at the gym by 6:30 or 7 a.m., depending on when my trainer gets there. On gardening, she gardens every single day. She has a meeting with her gardener. She rushes back from her commitments in New York City, goes out to her Connecticut home, has a whole milk cappuccino, and then goes through a checklist of what her gardener needs to do.
Wow.
On commuting to work, she says that she gets in the car every day. She has a copy of the New York Times, the Wall Street Journal, New York Post in paper form. I always have it on my iPad, but I like to look at the pictures and stuff on my ride in the car. And then I do Sudoku, and I do the Ken, and then I talk on the phone.
Gosh, she really got into it, huh? So wait, she goes from Connecticut into New York every day?
Yes.
Okay.
She says on supplements, I take vitamins at different times during the day. I only take what I feel I need on that day. I take lysine. I never heard of it. It's a natural supplement that's good for stress. On office life, she says, I stop by Martha Cafe in the lobby of my building. It's my cafe. And I check in with them.
Oh, God. Okay.
If I haven't had my coffee at home, I'll have a half a shot of espresso with crema. That's what I have. Or I'll have very delicious yogurt. We have the best yogurt in my cafe. She sounds like Donald Trump.
Does she booze at lunch?
On lunch, she says it was just me. It was just me in the kitchen today. I had a head chairman in for lunch, and we had the most delicious lunch. I brought in fresh artichokes from my garden. We steamed artichokes, and we had a whole curd cottage cheese. What in the hell? Who lives like this? Which was from the local farmer's market, and a salad of fresh corn, red and yellow peppers, and cucumbers. I usually make my lunch in my full kitchen in my office. On email. She says, I get 100 emails a day. The phone used to ring hundreds of times, but now it's all email. Nobody has access to my email but me. I forward my invitations to my assistant because she keeps track of them and my travel plans.
Wow.
Yeah, on drinking on the job. I choose all of my wines from Martha Stewart Wine Company. Didn't even know she had one. And that is a problem because I am not good at drinking alcoholic beverages during the day. So that has to be at the end of the day. Yesterday, I tasted 12 wines, all starting at 4 o'clock.
Mm-hmm. That sounds about right.
Here's her advice on getting started for young people. Look for opportunities around you and start with your own expertise, whether it's your vocation or avocation. If you've always loved art, channel that passion and knowledge into being a museum, helping out in a museum, being a museum curator. Never before have so many people had so much knowledge and so much time to use it. Stick with it. Don't give up. Defend your ideas, but be flexible. Success seldom comes in exactly the form you imagine it.
I love it.
That was
I love
good.
it.
Yeah,
Did she talk about dating?
She didn't. She didn't talk about dating.
I heard she likes younger men.
Well, and I feel like she and Snoop Dogg just need to get together. Like, right? I mean, they just recreated the scene from Ghost with like Demi Moore and Patrick Swayze. Yeah, it was really uncomfortable. Wow. And that was just in picture form.
That's
I can't even imagine.
crazy.
Can you imagine Snoop Dogg behind her at a pottery wheel? It was really fucked up.
I had these guys, I told you about the Beekman boys, the fabulous Beekman boys.
No, who are they?
Brent and Josh, they had a show on a network called Planet Green. It used to be Planet Green. Now it's like a Discovery, one of the Discovery channels. But anyway, they have a brand called Beekman 1802. Check them out. They make the most amazing goat milk soap.
Oh, okay.
So Brent, Josh used to work for Martha Stewart. He was a senior VP at her company. They both got laid off. They, bought a farm, so they went to live on their farm. Anyway, I had them on my show, my CW show. They came on the show and they were saying, "Oh, Martha Stewart's such a great friend." And then Josh, like the one that didn't work for her, is like, you know what? No, Brent didn't work for her. He was like, yeah, she's a great friend of ours. She never remembers my name, but
she's a wonderful friend.
But she's really great. She was like, she does not know my name after like 10 years.
I thought it was pretty cool to see the detail of her life, like so like specific there, One last story before we get to our 3-date rule, people. How do you feel about this? An actor, Ed Skrein, oh God, I'm gonna like completely mispronounce this. Ed Skrein announced that he accepted a role to become an upcoming Hellboy in a Hellboy reboot movie, and then a week later, just this week, dropped out for a very good reason. He was cast as Ben Diamio, an employee of the fictional Bureau of Phenomenal Research and Defense, or best known as his role as Ajax in 2016's Deadpool. Anyway, this Hellboy character is actually of Asian descent, is Japanese American, and Shikrin is not. So that's why this week he came out and said that he is removing himself from the role, and people are giving him a lot of credit. They're saying like this is the way to handle whitewashing in Hollywood. He announced via Twitter that after getting feedback from Hellboy fans, it would be best if he dropped out so that role can be cast appropriately. What do you think? Do you think he made the right move? Do you think it's too sensitive? What do you think?
Well, I mean, who gets a role and doesn't know the part that they're up for in Hollywood? Isn't it pretty tough? He's not like a famous actor, right?
No. I don't think do you think he knew ahead of time that it was Asian, but then he got
Hell yeah. Then he got that check. He probably got a deposit.
And then he got backlash, and then he was like, okay, forget it.
I think so. I mean, which isn't, something that's so horrible. He listened to the people, and he thought about it, and then he backed out. So, I mean, I respect him for that.
Hopefully he got paid, too.
Yeah. I mean, it's tough. But now everyone's talking about him. It's not a horrible career move in that way because now we know his name. I didn't before.
I didn't even know. I don't even know what Hellboy is. I guess it's a cartoon or something.
Yeah.
Sorry. I think it's a comic. People will be outraged about that.
Yeah.
Sorry. Look, you can always email us. It's sarah@heyfrage.com. It's paulwarrenstyle@yahoo.com. We love you guys. Thank you for spreading the word.
We love you. Please tell your friends.
Tell your friends about the podcast. And if you are single, we are actually soliciting someone who's going to get some free matchmaking from 3-Day Rule. So listen for the end of this podcast to find out how.
Sounds awesome.
Bye, guys.
Bye.
Okay, so we wanted to have you guys on because, first of all, Alicia, I've known you for ages. Alicia, speaking of radio, was an intern
What?
at Hot 99.5. That's how we met.
No, a decade ago.
You have always had a passion for love and matchmaking. You were on a reality show where you went and she tracked down her first love in
my God.
France, got back with him all on a TV show, and they stayed together for like, what, 2 years?
2 years. Absolutely.
So now you work for 3 Day Rule, and we wanted to have you on because we saw you last week when you came to the happy hour that we had at Whitlow's on Wilson.
Right.
And you were talking about finding love in D.C., and we had a million questions. So Callie's here. You're like the top matchmaker in D.C.
That is not true, but I have had a long run here. We've had a really good time here. We launched in January of 2015, so I've been with the company since the launch, and it has been great ever since.
So we wanted to kind of get a vibe because DC has this reputation of being a terrible place to date, right? Like, and I find the dating scene here fascinating. Paul, you've been on the dating scene. I've been on it for years before I met Dan. So what is so hard, or what's the perception about DC dating? Because you guys actually say that DC is like a top place where people find love.
I think so.
It is. It's very transient. So you have new people coming in and out all the time with changing administrations and different government jobs. But I think it's so competitive. You know, you have all these people that are very highly accomplished, very highly educated, that want someone on par with them. And sometimes they have difficulty finding that. They really want a partner in crime and someone who can work the room with them at a gala or a political event. And so the standards are very high.
Well, here's my question, because, everybody's on Tinder, but you guys are like a paid matchmaking service, right?
Right, yeah. We're kind of offline versus all of that online stuff. We have clients that we work very closely with, and we get to know them and what they're looking for and what works in a relationship, and then we essentially go out and find it in real life.
But why pay? That's what I'm saying. You know what I'm saying? Like, you do Bumble, you do Match, you can just hop on, you can hop off. So what do you guys bring? Because it's an investment, right? I mean, how much is it to actually find a match on average?
Well, we have packages, and they range from $4,500 to $7,000 here in DC. But we also have a free pool that any single can join, and that's where we tap in to match our paying clients.
Right, and you pick a lot of women from that, right? Because a lot of times, or is it
both women and men?
Yeah, we have
both
women and men clients. Yep, and obviously members of our free pool.
So, what's the biggest? And jump in here, Paul. Because what's the biggest mistake that people make when they're dating? Because all we hear is the dating disasters all the time. Like, I was asking these guys about the guy that was on 7 dates. Like, he lined 7 dates up in one bar, which I thought was efficient, but apparently people did not find that funny. But what mistakes are people making?
I always tell people to be open-minded. I mean, we're kind of talking about this. I think, people have sort of a checklist of things that they're looking for, and oftentimes that's not even what works with them in a relationship or what they need in a partnership. Sometimes people will come to us and say, no one under 6 feet tall, or, no one X, Y, and Z.
But isn't the first thing attraction, though? You have to be attracted to the person.
Absolutely, but
Because,
attraction...
I like them for the heart. I like them for their mind. But is that really true?
I would hope so, yes.
Grow more attractive as you get to know them, right?
Absolutely, yeah. Attraction, you have to have
impression.
multiple levels of compatibility on attraction. Physical, obviously. What about, intellectual, emotional, spiritual for some people? So...
there is that. No, but I think that comes later in life. Like for me, because I'm almost 40, so I've been dating a long, long time. So
you
now,
look good, by the way.
Thank you. Pretty good. Huh? No, but so now, I think of things a little bit differently. Like 10 years ago, I'm like, don't even come over here unless you're looking really hot and I want to, take this to the next level.
I hear that a lot from people. They'll sit down and they say, because I'll ask, I say, you know what, right off the top of your head is really important to you. And they'll say, 10 years ago, my list was totally different than it is now. Well,
eHarmony is now talking, their commercials now say, well, I really like eHarmony because people have to pay, and I know they're making an investment, but it's $100. I mean, is that really, that's not really an investment, right?
Well, yours is an investment. That's a lot of money. Yeah,
there's definitely something to making that financial commitment, and also taking the time to re-identify your priorities and really sit down and think about what matters to you.
I was saying this because don't you find, though, it's just really the people. Like, I was telling you guys about my girlfriends that are single, and I basically now say to them, I'm like, look, it's you. It's not the men. Like, people, don't you think, everyone complains about, oh, there's not a good roster of guys in D.C., they always want to know what you do first. But I'm like, my girlfriends have opportunities all the time to meet men. They shut them down because they order, white wine on the first date, or they talk about their kid. And I'm like, it's you.
Well, that kind of goes back to the closed-mindedness thing. Like, if someone's going to write someone off because they're ordering a white wine, like, a little bit closed-minded in terms of what is going to work with them in a partnership.
So what do you like, by the way, are there rules, like things that you should and shouldn't say on the first date? Like, you know what I'm saying?
Guidelines.
Like what?
Well, I mean, I feel like you should see if you can connect with someone on sort of a light level rather than like politics, religion, like this heavy stuff. Like, you want to see if there's actually just even a connection there before you dive into the things that are a little bit heavier.
So what about telling them that you want to get married and have a kid on the first date? Is that too much?
I think the goal of a first date should be to have a second date,
Oh.
right? Like, and so there's nothing wrong with if that comes up naturally, sharing your priorities, but I think generally you want to just figure out whether the connection is there.
Yeah.
What do you tell your clients about saying, hey, you want to come back to the crib tonight? I mean,
Yeah, sex on the first date. What do you guys think?
If you're if you're okay with the idea of potentially not seeing that person again, and you're just enjoying the moment, then why not? I mean, no judgment. But
really,
there's a stronger chance that maybe that connection will fizzle faster.
Absolutely.
Okay, but why? Because here's my thing. Because I've done this all different ways, right? So, like, I've said to myself, okay, I'm not gonna have sex with this guy till the 5th date, right? But then the reality is, if he's gonna dump you, it doesn't matter if you have sex with him within the first hour or 5 weeks later, right? He's gonna hang out for the nookie and
well,
he's
if
gone.
you have 5 dates with him, then you have more than just the sex. I mean, there's a deeper connection, and then that probably makes the intimacy better, right?
Right. I think what can happen if you have sex too early is it can create a false sense of intimacy. And you can think that you know the person better than you actually do, and you can feel more connected to them than you would otherwise. So you want to rush things along, and I think it's the pressure actually that kills the relationship.
I was just feeling horny and just wanted to have sex. I mean, honestly, now I used to have all these rules. Like, now if I'm feeling it, I would just get down on the first date. I mean, why wait? Like, I don't know, because don't you feeling...
We're not going to tell you not to do that.
Oh, that's good. You guys don't have any rules. I like that.
Our name is funny because our name is 3-Day Rule, obviously, and everyone says, where's the name from? It's from like an old antiquated rule where you're supposed to wait 3 days before reaching out to someone if you're interested in them. But really, we think that there really shouldn't be rules. Throw the rule book out the window. If you're interested in someone, let them know. If you want to have sex with them, have sex with them.
Well, I think if I really wanted to protect my investment, my $7,500, I wouldn't have sex on the first date, because to me, I'm like, look, I got my money at risk here.
I mean, yeah, you've made a big commitment. That's a lot.
And
yeah.
chances are that if you do have sex on the first date, although, chances are normally if you have sex on the first date, you won't have a second date.
Right.
Right?
It's
or
just
it'll just be about sex.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's just
Which I know, it's true.
And Sarah still doesn't find anything wrong with any of this.
I think almost every woman has had this happen to her, and I'm sure guys as well. Where you feel something really strongly and you're living in the moment, and it's great.
So what's the process? I go into you decide that I'm right for your company, I pay you my cash, and then what happens? How do you match me?
So we basically are like your dating concierge, right? So we are constantly out scouting for you and looking for people that might make a good match. Our job takes us all over the city, so we're constantly in different neighborhoods, meeting new people.
Yeah, we're totally shameless when it comes to
shameless. We have no problem walking up to someone and in line at the grocery store.
My favorite part of this job, probably.
Really?
Yeah.
You'll just walk up to people and say what?
Anyone
like, what's
and
the
everyone.
deal?
If I see someone that physically might be a type for a client, I say the same thing every time. I'm like, I have a really funny question. Are you single? I'm actually a professional matchmaker. I have a client that might be a fit. You would be amazed at how well received it is. Because it's a compliment, I think, to say, like, hey, I see something in you that might be a fit with someone I'm working with. The worst I've ever gotten was no. And then I say, well, you definitely have single friends, because everyone has single friends. And they say, yeah, you know what? I do have a single friend that I'm always trying to match up.
Maybe we can have our interns do that for me. Just walk around to the grocery store. Hi, are you single? Yeah.
Well, honestly, and that's what you guys said, is you will hook up a listener, right? So if there is somebody listening to this podcast that has tried dating, tried everything, you guys are willing to take that person on and hook them up with some dates and see what happens.
I would send them on a date, absolutely.
Yeah.
Find
All right.
a match for them.
So they can email us. They can email paulwhartonstyle@yahoo.com, sarah@heyfrage.com. We'll put them in contact with Alicia and Callie for the 3-day rule. And I want to test it out. I mean, you guys, it seems, everybody's looking to find love. So
And we need a black boyfriend for Joelle. At least one date, remember?
Yes, our intern, never dated a black guy.
Yeah.
Really? Yeah.
Because she's never dated one. She's a black girl intern here, and she's never dated a black guy, so we got to hook her up.
We got a great pool of them.
Oh my God, I bet. I'm sure they're so high. I know. I always say Dan is the last white guy I'm ever dating. That's it. Poor Dan. Well, I know. No, too bad, Dan. Keep it. You better keep it hot, or otherwise I'm out. Okay, where can people find you?
3dayrule.com. THREEDAYRULE.
We didn't even get to really talk about Trump. Are people nastier in the dating world now with Trump, or
I think
or
people
better?
have pretty strong opinions about that, and they will tell, we'll say, what are the deal breakers you have, and a lot of people turn to politics at that point.
Did they ever say no Democrats, or they just say no Republicans? I mean, how's that work?
Well, this is DC, so we get a lot more people that have very strong feelings, and it's generally not no Republicans. It's generally not a Trump supporter.
Okay.
That being said, we push people a little bit on that. We're like, get to know someone and why they believe these things before just writing them off. But if it's something that's inherently important to you, it's okay to use it as a
Have
preference
you
or as a
guys
deal breaker.
thought about starting the alt-right 3-day rule?
Oh God.
You know what?
Pitch that to LA.
But wait, one last thing I want to know: has this process worked for you all in your own dating lives?
I think we're both in relationships, but I was in a relationship long before I became a matchmaker. So
Okay.
I match-made myself successfully.
Oh, there you go. All right, that's
Actually
good.
set up on that show, which was what got me interested in matchmaking, because that was the first relationship I had. It was incredibly passionate. We loved each other very deeply, but we just weren't compatible on some very basic levels. And so that got me thinking about compatibility and what does make for a solid relationship.
You guys are the new Patty Stanger. I swear to God.
Love it.
Like, Patty from Bravo had 0 matches. So if you guys get 2, you could have your show. All right, thank you guys so much for stopping by. We appreciate it.
Thank you.